Thank you for tuning in to Koppen with Comic. I'm Brian Koppen. We're with comic Jarret Berenstein. Jarret Berenstein, how the hell are you?
I'm doing pretty good. How you doing?
Oh, good. Yeah, thanks so much for coming on. I'm doing fine, and tell people where they can find you online because I follow you at just Jarret, but you're also Jarret Berenstein on both Instagram and jarretberenstein.com.
That's right. And Jarret Berenstein fan page on Facebook and at Jarret Berenstein on TikTok.
Sweet. And yeah, it sounds like you're blowing up in popularity on TikTok, but also people can buy your book, The Kellyanne Conway Technique, which sounds hilarious.
Yeah, they can buy that anywhere books are sold, or if they go to their website, then they can get a signed copy.
Dude, I can't. Well, I want to talk about Kellyanne Conway, but real quick, how are you blowing up on TikTok? How do comedians do it correctly?
I have no clue. I just know that I kind of did. I mean, I'm still on the low end of what you could call blowing up, but I'm having more success on TikTok than I've had on any other social media, which is so funny because it's such a young platform, and I am a 40-year-old comedian making jokes about politics, and for some reason the kids are eating it up. So wow. Yeah, I know. I started dropping videos about the impeachment, and I started getting a lot of traction from there, and so I just decided to keep going with that.
And is politics kind of your slant? With the Kellyanne Conway book, it sounds like you might live at the intersection of politics and comedy. Like, if that's what your choice was to do on TikTok, like, why did you choose to go in that direction, knowing that the audience was so young?
It really was just what I wanted to talk about. With stand-up, a lot of my stuff is you can clearly see that I am a liberal and that I have progressive ideas, but that's not really what I make the majority of my jokes about. If you watched my stand-up, you wouldn't say, oh, this is a political comedian. But at the same time, I was making TikToks, I was trying it out, and there were just some ideas that were in my craw where I was like, I feel like this is something that I really want to say. And especially where I have a bunch of videos that are essentially what it's like trying to have a political conversation with somebody who's already made up their mind, somebody who is conservative and who, at the risk of sounding biased, someone who is immovable, regardless of whatever facts or information you give to them. And I just felt so frustrated having these conversations and also imagining the conversations and being like, oh, if I were to sit down with a Trump supporter, this is 100% what they would say, even if I told them this. And I was just like, I want to show people what that's like. I want to make a video that is that frustrating experience that I have all the time. And I did. And then things started just like, the views started coming in the thousands and tens of thousands and hundreds of thousands, depending on the video. And, the comments were, people being like, oh my God, this is what it's like talking to my dad, or this is what it's like talking to my mom,
But that's also what it was like whenever you'd get a reaction of Republican senators with each reveal in the impeachment saga, every time you're like, this Republican senator has got to flip. And uniformly they were like, no, that's fine.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what the entire impeachment series was. It was 8 TikToks that were all about what else can we do? What else can we do? Here's the evidence. Here's what we say, here's what we want, and here are the completely hypocritical and batshit insane things that Republicans will tell you in response.
And then, at the same, you also got a book deal to do the Kellyanne Conway technique, and that's also just kind of, making fun of a certain Republican figure. What can you tell me about Kellyanne Conway that makes her so funny? And if there's a technique, if she has a technique, what is it? Is it just being able to look at the mountains of evidence against Trump and just be like, no, everybody's fine with this?
Well, that's essentially what she's paid to do. So in that sense, she's not particularly special, but she did have a number of techniques that she would employ whenever she would get her, 2 minutes on CNN or whatever, in order to just shotgun misinformation into the face of every, what's the word I'm looking for? The impressionable mind that was watching.
It's so funny in that context. The Fox News viewers are impressionable, but when they're talking to a liberal, they're immovable by that time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, if she's going on Fox News, she knows that she's she's basically has home court advantage, so she doesn't have to worry about that. The thing that my book is about is when she goes on ABC or when she goes on CNN. and what is her goal? Like, what is she trying to do, and how does she accomplish it when she's sitting across from like a Jake Tapper or a Rachel Maddow, for example. She did a lot of interviews with Rachel Maddow, and
So
what
what
I
does
came
she?
to
Yeah. What does she do? Does she attack the premise of the question, or what does she do?
oh, there's so many things. It's the reason why I got to write an entire book about it.
Yeah.
Is there are the flat out denials. There's the reinterpretations. There's more crude techniques of just talking and talking and just avalanche of thoughts and words until you have 3 lies, 8 misdirections, and 7 lies of omission, and
Yeah.
only 3 minutes left in the show. So what's poor Jake Tapper gonna do?
Uh,
Is he gonna talk about each one of those and why they're false and why they're
yeah.
fake?
Yeah. Well
She did
done.
this one interview on Bill Maher's show, where he asked her very specifically, like, here are 2 lies that Trump told. Will you admit that Hillary Clinton never said these things that Trump said? And Kellyanne Conway basically cites like these 2 Supreme Court decisions that Hillary Clinton was in favor of, but then if you look up the Supreme Court decisions, you realize that they don't have anything to do with the question that Bill Maher asked.
Wow.
And so another technique is just talk about things that people are not going to look up. People are not going to research.
They haven't looked at it until that real-time interview when you can't. Like his research department can't scramble with the 3 minutes left in the show. That's great.
100%. And bizarrely, after I wrote the book, I was just out of professional curiosity. It was checking out a couple more clips of how people are handling Kellyanne Conway. And there's only one person who I think ever really got close to doing it correctly, and that was Whoopi Goldberg on The View. And she got sidetracked. She was hammering Kellyanne Conway about Trump's taxes, and she wasn't letting the topic go, and she wasn't letting Kellyanne Conway off the hook. And then one of the other women on the panel, I forget who, decided to change the subject, and I was like, no, she was doing it. She was doing the thing. She got her.
It was like Elizabeth Hasselbeck or whatever running interference for Whoopi or for Kellyanne.
I actually don't know. I don't know if it was the conservative one or if it was just one of the other women who was like, okay, well, I know how TV works and we have to move on to another topic now.
Yeah, I love that. From your point of view, we're like, fuck yes, finally somebody is putting Kellyanne Conway's feet to the fire. Mm-hmm. And one of the other talking heads is like, I haven't talked in a while. It's my turn. You're like, go fuck yourself. Yeah, go fuck yourself. Oh, wow.
It is that media environment that Kellyanne Conway figured out how to manipulate so savvily. And I really don't like giving anybody in the Trump administration any credit whatsoever. But as far as somebody who was able to play the mainstream media and was able to expose the flaws in quote unquote unbiased news reporting, Kellyanne Conway was incredible at that. And it really made, I think, the reporters who talked to her kind of question, like, how is it that this failed so badly? How is it that she was just able to come in here and spread a whole bunch of lies and I was defenseless?
Wow. Yeah, how I was so prepared to dunk all over this woman, and how is she dunking on me and putting her balls in my face?
Yeah, exactly.
And so, but also, I mean, that's kind of a feature and not a bug of the Trump administration, in that Trump and Bannon, they have the kind of theory of bury them in an avalanche of shit.
Yeah.
And so so like she's kind of a microcosm, but Trump is that way. Like, he can change the subject, he can throw out all this fucking chum, and the reporters can chase their tails all they want, but meanwhile, he's putting kids in cages.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, it really is the you don't have enough time to throw me in jail for this because you are gathering evidence on the next crime that I just did.
and I think you got to give him credit with respect to shamelessness. Like, politicians have always been kind of half there as far as being shameless, but they just went all the way there. It's like how was it Jason Miller, whoever the anti-immigration guy is, like they just are putting
Stephen Miller.
Yeah, Stephen Miller. Like, and there was the new guy who just joined. I thought he was Jason Miller, but yeah, Stephen Miller, the bald dude. Like they are really doing what a Republican president on steroids would do. Like people used to think they only had political capital to do 1 or 2 Republican pet issues, but now they know that they can do about 400.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I am not willing to give Trump even credit for that, because the thing is, like, he didn't sit down in a lab and think, I'm going to act this way because of the way that the mainstream media works and the way that politics works, they'll be able to get away with it. He is just a shitty idiot whose shitty idiocy happened to luckily lined up with something that happened to work out for him. And he got so lucky with Russia, and he got so lucky with James Comey releasing that shit about Hillary's emails, that and he's gotten so lucky with the Republicans going along with every fucking insane thing that he's ever done. He deserves zero credit. He doesn't, he has lucked his way into surviving this long, and if there were any justice in the world, he would have been thrown in jail years ago.
I mean, you're right that he's lucky and he's an awful trash human being, but it's like, as far as the media is concerned, that's the only thing he's known how to play forever. And so, I mean, of course, if there was a Democratic Senate, he wouldn't have gotten away with any of this fucking bullshit ever.
Mm-hmm.
But, part of the red wave that came with Trump was him fucking playing the media like a fiddle, like picking the, tribalism, in that he'd pick the correct enemies for his people to unite against. Even right now, going against Bubba Sparks, or thinking about, the black NASCAR driver, or, Obama's birth certificate, or saying that he's going to bring Michael Flynn on the campaign trail. Like, all these things is him knowing one thing, and that's how to play the media. And part of that is the whole, bury them in an avalanche of shit. So, like, you got to give him credit for knowing that, yeah, he's the people will cover him because he's just throwing out all this reality TV chum, right?
Yeah, I'm still
getting free media that way. Like,
I agree. I agree with everything you're saying, but I'm still gonna give him zero credit for it.
Yeah, it's the word credit I think we're taking issue with. And so so like, in watching all this Kellyanne Conway stuff, though, and writing your book, like, did you come away with anything that can kind of be translatable or transferable over into your stand-up act? Like, there has to be certain times when a comedy, you need to tell a lie on stage, and of course the master of that will be a Kellyanne Conway.
No, I haven't done any one-to-one transitions from what she does to comedy, but it has always been a dream of mine to sort of improvise as a Republican talking head, and basically say, like, it doesn't matter what my argument is, it doesn't matter what information you give to me, I can argue anything from the perspective of a Republican talking head. And it's always been my dream to, like, set that up as part of the bit and invite the audience to say whatever they want and make up whatever evidence they want, and me showing how easy it is to lie as one of these people.
Yeah, it's like, where did you get that evidence?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
Like, where did you hear this thing? Right. Oh, you heard it from somebody else? So that person lied to you. Yeah.
Yeah, and even if somebody's like, giving the person who's doing this exercise the power of making up whatever evidence wants, they can say, like, we have Republican, Lindsey Graham has a picture of you doing the thing, and the Republican head would then be, of course, oh, well, Lindsey Graham can't be trusted. He was saying, this about Trump before the election, and now he's saying this about Trump after the election. Like, this is somebody who clearly has motives that go against the will of this president and, frankly, of the American people. Blah 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 blah. It's so easy, and that's what drives me crazy when people want to give credit for how savvy they're being. It's so easy. Children do this. Yeah. It's just lying. It's just lying.
Well, I'd love to see that on TikTok. Like, have you thought about putting, like, is there any time limit on TikTok?
Is there any? Oh yeah, 1 minute, I think, unless you're doing a live video, which I think can be as long as you want. But it's about 59 seconds is the limit.
So, I mean, I think the whole improvising thing, I mean, is there any interaction between you and the TikTokers? I suppose it's not a live thing. It's a recorded thing, right?
Yeah, but there are some mechanisms for doing that. Like, you can obviously respond to comments on your videos, but they've also added a new feature where you can respond to comments with a video. And so there is a cool interaction there that's possible. Right now, I would love to do something like that, but I sort of have the Tarantino philosophy about my TikTok, where I want to have fewer videos that do better as opposed to, like, just flooding the market.
Oh, okay. Because I almost suppose you could do it on a live, a live medium like Facebook Live or Instagram Live, and then clip it for TikTok. Like, I'd love to see it.
That's a really fun idea,
Yeah, but also, like, with the Trump thing, it's the one thing that we learned is that a lot of presidential conduct in the past has been normative. Like all he's doing right now is taking everything that you thought was a law, limiting or restricting a president. And you're like, oh shit, this is just a norm.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
who
no.
the fuck knew that you didn't have to be polite on the day somebody a 7-star general died or whatever?
Yeah, there's what we realized were just an honor code are things that we are now realizing we probably should have made actual laws.
Yes. Well, I love it. You're at the intersection of politics and comedy. And so we're going to follow you at jarretberenstein.com and also just Jarret on Twitter, as well as Jarret Berenstein on Instagram. And I'm so unfamiliar with TikTok. Does it even have a URL that I can look you up at?
Yeah, I think if you just do TikTok, tiktok.com/@JarretBerenstein, that should take you there.
Oh, good. And also they can check out the Kellyanne Conway technique. And if they buy it through your site, they'll get it autographed.
That's right.
But also you have the podcast coming on YouTube. When can we expect that to drop, and who are the first? Sounds like you're going to have several comics, and you guys are going to be improvising.
Yeah, so we have a new show that we're calling Is This Anything? Me and 3 other stand-up comedians, Anthony Kapfer, Brett Druck, and Rob Ryan. These are 3 guys who were all 4 of us are working touring comedians. We've been at this. We've got over 40 years of experience between us. And we basically just go through new ideas that we have, and some of them are completely fleshed out. And we're just like, how do you guys feel about the structure here? And some of them are just, the seed of an idea that we sort of help germinate all together. It's an extremely fun look behind the curtain at how a joke is actually written and how comedians hang out with each other.
Is anybody else doing this sort of thing? Because I would love to be a fly on the wall when, comics who are at the top of their craft are crafting their material.
Definitely. And one of the things that, we didn't start this to fill some hole in the market. We just decided to start having these writers' meetings, and we realized how fun they were. And we thought, we're doing them anyways. We might as well put them online on YouTube and have it be a podcast and stuff like that. But I do know that a bunch of comedians are doing one-on-ones. Okay. What we're doing is we are bringing sort of like the group writing session to the internet.
Good. The writing room. I can be a fly on the wall to a real writing room.
That's right. Yeah.
Cool. Well, we're going to keep track of it. It sounds like you're just blowing up on TikTok. So the minute I get on there, the first face I'm going to see is Jarret Berenstein.
I'll be all over that For You page.
Dude, I can't wait. Jarret Berenstein, thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for having me.